It's not been decided yet, but we go with the Days of 47 or Pioneer 47. And if you get those references, you're in the right place. Bear Bachmeier is BYU starting quarterback. He wears the number 47, and I think it's the perfect decision for BYU football.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast focused on the BYU Cougars. I'm Jake Hatch, executive producer of the KSL Sports Zone in Salt Lake City, Utah, and a 14-year credentialed media member at BYU. I am your resident expert and insider, your host here on this podcast. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. All right, coming up on today's show, we're talking about Bear Bachmeier taking over as BYU starting quarterback. He officially is going to be the starter 10 days from now when the Cougars take the field against Portland State. Then we'll talk about what the future at the quarterback position looks like for BYU in light of this decision, because you're starting a freshman quarterback. So what does the future look like for the Cougars at the position? And then we'll finish up today's show on the defensive side of the football, a guy who's been going against Bear Bachmeier in practice every single day, Chay Strur, in the mix to be the starting middle linebacker for BYU on defense this season. What does he make of guys like Bear, and what has he done to really make an impact in training camp? You hear about that in an exclusive one-on-one conversation ahead on this show. It's all brought to you today by our friends over at Monarch Money. Take control of your finances today and do it with Monarch Money. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. All right, if you've been hiding under a rock or you didn't hear it yesterday, the breaking news that's not really all that breaking for those of you who are longtime listeners of this podcast and can read between the lines, and more importantly, if you're a Locked On Cougars Insider Group member, Bear Bachmeier is BYU starting quarterback. Officially announced that he will be taking the first snaps with the offense when BYU takes the field against Portland State in a week and a half's time. And as I mentioned in the open of today's show, I think it's the perfect decision for BYU at this juncture, simply because I believe that BYU has brought a guy into this program who in somewhat record time has completely overtaken two veterans, two guys who had years of experience, both playing at other universities and playing at BYU. And he comes in late May, and as Aaron Roderick pointed out, in 15, 16, or even 17 practices, has overtaken them and proven to be the best option for BYU at quarterback. Now, is it an ideal situation? Maybe not, because obviously earlier on this offseason, BYU was fully all in on making sure that Jake Retzloff was going to have a stellar senior season and hopefully reprise his role as the starting quarterback for BYU. Well, circumstances being what they are, BYU, when they recruited Bear Bachmeier, told him in no uncertain terms that he was the odds-on favorite to be their starting quarterback in 2026 because he signed with BYU out of the transfer portal while Jake Retzloff was still in the good graces of the university, and then everything hit the fan, as we all know, and Jake's exits. This just pushed up the timeline a little bit. And to Bear Bachmeier's credit, he came in, ingratiated himself with his teammates, went to work, learned the playbook, which is a pretty complicated and thick playbook, as I understand it, the Aaron Roderick, a lot of calls. And the simplicity of it is that they run a lot of different things out of different, they run a lot of different plays out of really similar looks. But that's the complicated factor of it, is understanding, okay, which look are we giving, but which play are we running within the framework of that? RPOs, QB run, all the different things that go into this. Aaron Roderick said yesterday in the media session that Bear Bachmeier is capable of running all of it. He says he's been very good at being the highest completion percentage during training camp. He has been turnover adverse, and that's been one thing that Kalani Sitake absolutely won't live with, is having a turnover-prone quarterback. And what we saw during the media viewing portions of training camp is that the most turnovers, now it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes of what otherwise is a 2 or 2.5 hour practice, but the most turnover-prone quarterbacks were everybody except Bear Bachmeier. So I think that this is why BYU believes that he's got a very, very bright future, and they're going to roll with him right from the get-go. He will make history against Portland State as the first true freshman quarterback in BYU football history to start the season opener. And it's actually not all that uncommon for this family. All you got to do is scroll back to look at his brother Hank's record as a quarterback and look at 2019 when Hank was a freshman at Boise State. He enrolled early. Sounds familiar, like a guy like Bear Bachmeier, albeit without the transfer when he got to Boise State. But Hank Bachmeier was the game one starter for the Boise State Broncos. While his career didn't play out the way he maybe ultimately planned it to at Boise State, he ultimately ended up playing a lot of college football and had some high moments at Louisiana Tech, as well as Wake Forest, in addition to Boise State. But this family, speaking of the Bachmeier family, they are not wholly unfamiliar with playing early on in their college careers. His brother Tiger, who's on this roster with BYU, that I hope that we see a Bear to Tiger hookup for a touchdown at some point this season. He played as a freshman at Stanford, albeit at wide receiver. I like the moxie, the makeup of this family. The Bachmeiers, they're a football family. The dad, speaking, I think it's Mark, is a former Naval Academy graduate, served in the Navy. Their mom is Asian American. So another little bit of history here, as Jerem Jordan pointed out from BYU TV, that Bear Bachmeier will be the first Asian American starting quarterback in BYU football history. It's not that long ago we had the first African American quarterback in Jaron Hall under center for BYU. So a lot of things happening with this decision by BYU. But beyond all of that, I believe that Aaron Roderick has been thorough in watching all of the reps. And trust me, they have got GoPro cameras on the helmets of these quarterbacks to get a bird's eye view or the QB view of what they're seeing on an individual play. They're talking with these quarterbacks. They're reviewing the tape from every angle. And Aaron Roderick's track record when he's developed guys like Zach Wilson, Jaron Hall, and no matter what you think of Jake Retzloff, they still went 11-2 last year with him as their starting quarterback. His track record suggests when he picks a quarterback, usually he's pretty dead on about what they're going to be able to accomplish. Now, he is a freshman, and the freshmen are prone to mistakes, and that absolutely will rear its head at some point this season. I count it as an inevitability that he will have some boneheaded freshman decisions that hopefully are not the back-breaking type plays that cost BYU a game, but are the type that you learn from. That's the other thing we have heard from people inside this football program that I have heard is that he has learned very quickly. He may make a mistake in practice one day. He doesn't repeat it. We have a saying in radio, I know it extends all over into regular life, but once is a mistake, twice is a problem. And that's very much the case as a starting quarterback, particularly at the Power 4 level. And that's why I believe that Bear Bachmeier, he's ready to rock and roll. There will be foibles. There will be struggles. There will be moments of, okay, I'm going to palm my face. The face palm will happen. But at the same time, we have seen during practice multiple instances of him putting passes where only his wide receiver could get it. Guys like Chase Roberts, Carson Ryan, JoJo Phillips, on down the list, Parker Kingston, they're all going to need to step up their game. Alongside him in the backfield, LJ Martin, Sione Moa, that two-headed tandem at running back, they have got to shoulder a bigger load probably early on this season than maybe they had expected if Jake Retzloff had been under center. But that's the nice part about being able to insert Bear Bachmeier into this lineup is there's a lot of veteran players, I'm talking across the board, on this offense, even on the flip side with the defense, who are there to buoy him up. That's why I believe this is the perfect decision for BYU is you are going to take your lumps early on with him, but with a soft first 6 games of the schedule, at least on paper here, it is the perfect opportunity for him to go out there, prove himself, learn from his mistakes, and hopefully by midseason when BYU faces off in that rivalry game against Utah and kicks off a 4-game stretch, which is absolutely critical to their hopes of contending in the Big 12 this year. Hopefully at that point, Bear Bachmeier, he's really ready to kind of step forward and be the guy for the BYU football program. And I'm looking forward to it. I have been hoping to see what he's capable of. And to his credit, he came in and earned that starting job. All right, coming up next, what does this mean for the future of the BYU quarterback position? Because there's a certain 5-star prospect out there who committed to BYU who's going on a mission and is expected to return while Bear Bachmeier, in theory, still has eligibility. What does the future hold for BYU at the quarterback position? We'll delve into that next right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Now, most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, and I can tell you I'm right there with you guys. Whether it's 401ks, properties, investments, or anything else, when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money, my friends. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. That's the best part about it. So it does the heavy lifting all for you guys, linking all of your accounts in minutes, seeing clear data visuals, getting smart categorization of your spending, and finally feeling in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I can tell you, spreadsheets make my skin crawl, but Monarch Money can take that out of the equation for you guys. So don't let your financial opportunities with our friends at Monarch Money slip through the cracks here. Take advantage of their promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com to go get half off, get half off your first year. Once again, that's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com using the promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at OpenPhone. If you're running a business, and a lot of you out there are, every missed call is money left on the table. Have you ever thought about the last time you needed a service that the first person didn't answer? Did you wait? I don't think so. All of us would likely move on. That's why you guys need OpenPhone, so you never miss an opportunity to connect with your customers. It's the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. A lot of you out there, when it comes to owning a business, probably have a personal phone and a business phone. This brings this all in one, and you don't have to carry those two phones on you guys, and that solves that problem instantly. Also, the AI agent handles after-hours calls, answers the common questions that seem to pop up from every customer, and captures leads, so you never miss a customer along the way. See why over 60,000 businesses trust OpenPhone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedoncollege. That's OPENPHONE, openphone.com/lockedoncollege to get 20% off your first 6 months. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free. OpenPhone, of course, it's no missed calls and no missed customers. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. All right. By the way, I want to thank you guys for all your support of the podcast. I have run into a number of Locked On Cougars listeners out in the wild, as I like to call it, in recent days. And you guys have been very gracious with your compliments. You guys do it on social media all the time. I appreciate all the support. And the best part about it is it's a big season ahead. So be with us every single day. Of course, I like to say here on the Locked On Podcast Network, it's literally your team, speaking of BYU, every single day. All right, let's talk about the future of the BYU football program, especially when it comes to the quarterback position. Bear Bachmeier, for all intents and purposes, if all goes well, is going to be BYU starting quarterback for this season, 2026, and 2027 if he plans on being a 3-and-doneer and going to the NFL. Now, that ultimately coincides with, as we expect, the return of Ryder Lyons, the 5-star prospect out of Folsom High School, committed to BYU, has got a pretty sizable NIL deal reportedly, obviously, for agreeing to sign with BYU, but he plans on serving 1 year of an LDS mission. Yes, I have heard that from so many people. It's a 1-year thing. It's not. He's accepting a 2-year call, but he'll only serve 1 year, then return home and enroll at BYU in time for the 2027 season. Does that mean he'll enroll right away and immediately challenge for playing time at BYU? I can't tell you that right now because missions do different things to different guys. For every guy that comes back ready to compete right away, it feels like there's 2 or 3 other guys who take a full year to really get back into the swing of things. And in many respects, that would be the perfect scenario for the future of the BYU quarterback position. Because if Bear Bachmeier is as good as he is being projected to be on paper right now, because he's a true freshman starter at the Power 4 level, Power 4 quarterbacks, if you're good enough, 3 years is plenty enough film and time for NFL teams to decide if you are the guy for them. And in theory, 2027 could be the perfect opportunity for Ryder Lyons to come in, probably compete with Bear Bachmeier for playing time, maybe serve as the primary backup. And then after 2027, if all goes well and the numbers match up, that Bear Bachmeier exits stage right, goes to the NFL draft, and then it's the Ryder Lyons show in 2028 and beyond. Is that how it's going to play out? Well, in this day and age of college football, I can't count on any of that because college football is about as topsy-turvy as it ever has been. I fully expect the BYU at some point in the near-term future is likely going to have to look at the transfer portal for a quarterback. When you lose a starting quarterback job like McKay Hillstead and Trayson Bourget have, I understand that Aaron Roderick says he's not concerned about them leaving or not being engaged. Well, they have to kind of be engaged for the time being because, simply put, one hit could completely change the situation for BYU at quarterback. Bear Bachmeier could find himself sidelined. Then I think McKay Hillstead's the next man up. He's inserted in the lineup and gets his shot as BYU starting quarterback. But coming to the end of the season, if it's the Bear Bachmeier show and it looks like it's smooth sailing ahead with him at the helm of the BYU offense, it wouldn't surprise me with Emerson Guileman, by the way, getting his mission call yesterday. We had a really big shout that we actually thought as a media corps that they had announced that Bear Bachmeier was a starting quarterback. But we found out it was Emerson Guileman, the freshman, who, by the way, I think absolutely should be in the mix for backup reps this season. He received his mission call. He's going to the Sao Paulo Interlagos mission in Brazil. So congratulations to Emerson. And he'll be out of the country for the next 2 years. But that obviously exits one quarterback. Do McKay and or Trayson decide that they're better suited to maybe go find a position to play for themselves at another program? Well, suddenly BYU is going to have to hit the transfer portal, it feels like, to bring in at least one body to at least be the backup, if not continue to push Bear Bachmeier for reps in 2026. The quarterback position is at a premium in college football. There's no doubt about it. And I also will acknowledge that Enoch Watson, who is a highly thought of prep quarterback out of Arizona that's coming home off of a mission. He's in, I think, Viña del Mar, Chile. He comes home and he'll be part of the mix next year as a freshman. But the transient nature with the transfer portal, NIL, and the like in college football, you can't count on anything, it feels like, in college football right now. But if there is such a thing as a guarantee, I think that guys like Ryder Lyons and a guy, in this case, like Bear Bachmeier, if they get a chance to play early on in their careers, they got no reason to look anywhere else, at least in the foreseeable future. And BYU has proven yet again, decade upon decade upon decade, to be a quarterback factory. You can go back 50 plus years and look at the pantheon of quarterbacks in Provo, Utah. And there's a reason why quarterbacks, no matter of what persuasion they may be, members of the LDS faith, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints or not, as is the case with Bear Bachmeier. I believe we learned that he's Catholic yesterday. No matter what, there is an attractiveness to playing quarterback at BYU because of the fame that comes with it, the pantheon of greats that are surrounding you, and also the fact that you're playing for more than just a paycheck, more than just a football program. You're literally representing a fan base that spans the globe. A lot of it connected to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We all know that. I love the fact that Bear Bachmeier has come in. And in the few opportunities we've had to speak with him, we did not get a chance to talk to him yesterday as a media corps. He has been very upbeat about what he hopes to accomplish in a BYU uniform. I love it. He's a young guy, and there is a bit of the what you don't know to him, because we frankly don't know how he's going to look when the lights are on, because he'll be under the lights at 6 o'clock. It'll be a little bit later when the sun actually goes down. But the point remains, against Portland State, when the lights come on, will he shrink or will he shine? And the hope is that he shines. And the future for BYU at quarterback is locked in for at least the next, feels like 2 or 3 years at minimum. I think it's a great thing that Aaron Roderick has set up here, because if it all goes well, he's going to have a guy like Bear Bachmeier, who's a bona fide 4-star prospect, replacing potentially by Ryder Lyons, who is a top tier 5-star prospect. And then guys like Enoch Watson, Emerson Guileman, even guys like, if Nolan Keeney, I know he signed as an athlete for BYU, but he played quarterback in high school. There are quarterbacks that are going to come onto the scene that BYU is set up, sure feels like, to the early 2030s if all goes well here. That's the great news if this all goes according to plan. But at the same time, you know what they say about plans, they're there to be messed up. And that is the thing that I think BYU has to guard against as much as they can, is making sure that a guy like Bear Bachmeier, he's set up to succeed. And unlike his older brother Hank, because I believe it was their father who told the Idaho Statesman back in the day, and I got to give a big shout out to one of our Locked On Cougars Insider Group members, Chris, for pointing this out, that their dad, speaking of the Bachmeier family, told the Idaho Statesman he had to get the hell out of there. And I apologize for using profanity, but that's the direct quote to the Idaho Statesman when Hank Bachmeier's situation went south with Boise State. BYU has to guard against that as much as possible. And if Bear Bachmeier is as good as you, and the BYU coaching staff believes him to be, there's no reason to think that things aren't going to be what BYU hopes they are for the foreseeable future. But it's a very, very interesting situation that the Cougars have on their hands. But once again, if it all plays out the way that they're projecting it's going to, they got a really, really nice future locked up for themselves and should be able to continue to stay at least near, if not at the top of the Big 12 conference. Yes, that's going to require top tier recruiting, much like they have done in this 2026 class. It can't just be a one-off. It's got to be an annual deal. You got to continue to bring in top tier talent. And the nice part is top tier quarterback play like Bear Bachmeier and like Ryder Lyons, they attract that talent to come with them to the university that they're playing at, in this case, Brigham Young University. And I look forward to seeing what the future holds, but sure looks like things are pretty rosy for the Cougars, at least looking down the line 2, 3, maybe even as many as 6 or 7 years on into the 2030s. And the hope is that the stellar expectation of quarterback player, I guess, yeah, expectation is the right term. The expectation is that that quarterback play helps BYU contend for Big 12 supremacy and, heck, maybe even a national title at some point down the line. All right, we'll finish up this show coming up next, talking with Chay Strur. He has been a name that I think has been lost in the shuffle and absolutely should not be, because he is absolutely in the mix to be potentially BYU starting middle linebacker this coming season. How has he done it? What has he accomplished? And what's it like going up against a kid who's an 19-year-old true freshman who's in line to start at BYU? Well, Chay Strur talks about all that, and we'll get to that next right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that helps you turn your football predictions into real rewards. It is already heating up the preseason, and college football literally starts this weekend, everybody. Whether you got your eye on big-name quarterbacks, breakout running backs, or literally anything else when it comes to football, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in on the game. The best part is it's simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. And the best part is they are putting their members first. All withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. And no matter what you're interested in when it comes to Prize Picks, as I mentioned, anything with football, if you're a believer in Joe Burrow, or if you want to project on a guy like Bear Bachmeier against Portland State, it's all available to you from our friends over at Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app today and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege and get $50 in lineups if you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code LOCKEDONCollege. You get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play, and it's all courtesy of friends over at Prize Picks, where you can run your game. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. August 26th is coming up, everybody. It is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, they are giving you deals on NFL season predictions. Whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment to shine, everybody. I am obviously a big-time San Francisco 49ers fan. I believe they absolutely can rise back to the top of the NFC West, so I may have to go put the money where my mouth is with the friends over at FanDuel. Take advantage of the opportunity today, and the best part is you can parlay division winner dark horses along with a number of others into big winnings this season. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning for your futures bets now. That's August 26th. It's FanDuel Futures Day. Take advantage of it. It's one day only and one day to get your chance to essentially put your stake on what you expect to happen this college football, NFL season, but take advantage of it all. It's all courtesy of friends over at FanDuel, where you can play your game. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Hope you all are doing fantastic out there on this Wednesday. All right, want to finish up today's show with a guy that I talked to yesterday because I wanted to get his thoughts on what it's like going up against a true freshman quarterback. Chay Strur, I'll just insert this here. As our insider group members have heard this from myself over the last couple of weeks, do not discount the guy that they call CBS, Chay Strur, from potentially being BYU starting what they call MAC or middle linebacker against Portland State. Cialia Serra is absolutely in the mix there. And we've also seen some other great linebackers. Max Alford's made an impression in training camp. Ace Kafusi. There's obviously the stalwarts in Isaiah Glasker and Jack Kelly at the weak side and strong side backer positions. But Chay Strur, he has played a lot of college football at UCLA and at BYU, and he hopes to make this final season his best yet because he's had aspirations of playing at the next level. And we had a great chat about what his future aspirations are, what he's done to make an impression in training camp and really insert himself into the discussion to potentially start at middle linebacker for BYU, and why he believes it's the perfect position for him, as well as going up against Bear Bachmeier. All that and more right now in an exclusive conversation on Locked On Cougars.
I've had a lot of people in camp telling me you've been making a push at that middle linebacker spot. What's allowed you to make such a strong push in training camp, in your opinion?
I would say just being in the second year of this system. A lot of guys come in and they don't realize how this system is actually gonna, or how intricate this system is.
Got it.
And I feel like I played Sam last year with Isaiah Glasker, and I feel like Sam's a little more difficult.
Okay. And
so I've gained more knowledge in the system, and then moved to linebacker where everything is kind of like, okay, this is what I got to do. It's more like pinpointed what exactly I have to do. Okay. And if you really get it down, it's fine. Like you can do it at the best of your ability. So yeah, just year 2, being in the system, more comfortable with everything.
You said moving from Sam to playing linebacker. What's the biggest difference, and how similar is it to your time at UCLA and the different positions you played down there?
Well, I played Jack Kelly's position at UCLA.
Okay, so you played all 3 then essentially in this. Okay.
So yeah, at this point they're all interchangeable in my mind. So I could really go out there and play Rover, Mac, or Sam if needed. But I really like Mac. I feel like it fits my abilities the best, and especially because I got Isaiah and Jack next to me.
Sure.
It's a blast.
Now, when you're competing with a guy like Ciale, what have you tried to do to differentiate yourself?
Really, I don't even look at it in that way.
Okay.
I really just think of it as a battle between me and myself. If I'm doing everything I can do and it works out, then I'll be happy. And if I do everything I can do and it doesn't work out, obviously I'm gonna be a little upset, but I can't really break any, like, you know what I mean? I can't be mad at him, can't be mad at myself, can't be mad at the coaches, because I gave it all I had, so that's just what it is. So that's really like my mindset really going into my last year, and just give it it all, and whatever comes back is what I get.
Now, you're an established player. You said this is your final season. You played a lot of college football at this point.
A lot.
Where do you feel like you improved the most in this offseason?
I would say just trusting in it seems like this is like a very football term, but trusting in my eyes. Okay. So a lot of times, a lot of dudes will see things and not trust what they're seeing. There's like that delay in that 0.1 second, 0.5, 1 second. That's everything in football. So this year I've really just been analyzing and trusting what I see and just going immediately, and it's really been paying off.
How difficult can that be? Because obviously we all know about offenses. They're trying to deceive you. They're linemen pulling one way, running back going a different way. Can that be like, there's still, I guess that thought in the back of your head, like, hey, am I being deceived by what I'm seeing out here?
Yeah, so that just comes with film study. I would also add that. I think this year, not even just me, but our whole linebacker group as a whole, we are really dedicated in the film room. Right after this, we're going to go up there, and we have a couple hours of free time to eat lunch, recover, and we're going to be up there for an hour or two just on our own time. So I think it's really coming together in that film room, and that's where the game. If you're an athlete, I would consider myself and most guys in our room athletes. Yeah. So if you're spending time in that playbook and spending time in that film room, then everything else is going to work out.
What's it like playing alongside guys like Isaiah and Jack, who had such big seasons a year ago?
It's really great, because when I go out there and I see them next to me, I just know if Zay has a question on something, I'm going to answer it immediately. Okay. If I have a question on something, Zay's going to answer it immediately. Same with Jack, vice versa. And if everybody's on the same page and we all communicate constantly, there's literally nothing we can't do out there.
How much better can this defense be than it was a year ago?
I think it's going to be better. The strides that everybody's made on the offseason, obviously we lost some good players, but even the players behind them last year, I feel like everybody was ready. Everybody was ready to go at all times, and this year is just going to be a big year for the defense. And the offense is making strides as well.
Sure.
We got guys out there making plays on both sides, so I think it's going to be a big year for the team.
Now that we know who the starting quarterback's going to be, what was kind of been the reaction in the locker room to Bear taking over as a true freshman?
I actually didn't know that was official.
Well, it's official. They just told us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. Breaking news to you, I guess.
Yeah, well, the thing is I don't think anybody was worried about who they picked. Everybody's a great QB. Yeah. But especially with Bear, he's a cool guy. I talk to him all the time. Yeah. And we've been bonding pretty well, so, like, I don't mind him back there. Like I said, I'm just finding out right now.
Sure.
So yeah, he's a great QB, great player. He's gonna lead this program in the right direction for sure.
What's it like going up against a guy like that in practice?
You could tell he's a freshman sometimes.
Okay.
because of his tendencies.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're easier to read than a veteran seasoned quarterback. But besides that, he's an absolute baller. So the more time he plays, the sky's the limit.
Okay. Last thing from me is you have an older brother who's got a championship ring with the Milwaukee Bucks, but who's the best athlete in the family?
All around, it's got to be me, because if we're talking about pure stats, like who can run faster, jump higher, quicker,
the raw data.
Yeah, raw data. It's me for sure. It's always been me.
Okay.
But in our respective sports, he is amazing at basketball.
Sure.
And I'd love to say it would be a battle, but it would probably, if it's make it take it, we're going to 11. If I get the ball first, I'll probably score once.
Okay. All
so
right.
That's about it, yeah. And my little brother, you can't forget about him. He's a baller. He's out in Texas right now balling.
Which sport is he playing?
Basketball.
Oh, so he's a hooper as well then.
Yeah,
okay.
So he just moved out there.
Okay.
And he's just making a name for himself out there. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
A big thank you to Chay, Bryant, and Struther for talking with us here on Locked On Cougars. And that is going to do it for us today. By the way, if you want to get more intel like this, as I mentioned about Chay potentially being the starting middle linebacker for BYU, join the Locked On Cougars Insider Group. It's a great way to get the inside intel that you crave. 14-day free trial and just $5 a month to be a part of the group. The link is in the show notes below. So hopefully you guys out there will be joining the members already in the group and getting that inside intel that you crave. But as always, thank you so much for your support of this podcast. I want to encourage you guys with your next listen, check out the Portal Podcast. Brian Smith does a great job covering recruiting, what the future of college football is, and literally anything else in between when it comes to this great sport we all love. So check it out. That's the Portal Podcast. Make it your second listen of the day. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. And once again, thank you for being an everydayer right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.